transparency means that I'm going to provide the context for the decisions we're making. And I think very often what happens in leadership positions is we have the context because we've been having our meetings up in our ivory towers, and then we go and tell everybody what our decisions are. And we have authority, so they'll follow us. But if they have context, if especially that's something austere, something that hurts, some sort of restriction, that often produces anger or uncertainty. And simply by offering context, it helps people understand why the decision was being made. It also allows for leadership to say, we're not sure that this is the right decision, but if we give people context, they can raise their hand and say, have you thought about this? Which means people can feel like they can contribute. So transparency is essential. Plus it drives innovation when people understand the context for things. I'm also a great believer when you have a transparent organization that you can be transparent without making a decision. Usually what we do is we say, well, here's the conditions, here's what's happened. This is the decision we're making. What is also sometimes fun is to say, here are the conditions. This is the challenge. What do you think? And I find that sometimes the ideas that come from the rank and file, because sometimes David Marquet talks about this, which is the people at the top have all the authority and none of the information, and the people in the front line have all the information and none of the authority. And the opportunity is not to push the information up, the opportunity is to push the authority down. Your frontline associates know more about your customers than pretty much anybody in the organization.
Absolutely.
So ask them or empower them. And, sometimes we say, oh, but we can't trust them. They're young. Maybe they don't have a college education. We can't trust them with money. Well, I mean, go visit an aircraft carrier. The average age in an aircraft carrier, there's 5,000 people in an aircraft carrier. The average age is like 21. The average age is 21. It's run by children. Like, with your entry level in a corporate environment, we let you do the photocopying and the filing. Here, they let you oversee a multi-million-dollar aircraft. It's run by kids. They give them authority, which I love. Go to the Four Seasons and talk to the food and beverage manager. And, in a lot of restaurants, something goes wrong with the customer, get me the manager. And the manager will decide to comp you a dessert or comp you a meal or comp you a drink. But the question is, how much is too much? If you comp everybody's meal and something goes wrong, you're going to go out of business. And the Four Seasons did an experiment, which is they took the authority away from the managers and they gave it to the wait staff, which are young and, with various forms of education, and everybody went like this, thinking that they were just going to give the farm away. Turns out they were stingier than the managers. But the Four Seasons is a well-led organization where the people feel cared for, and as a result, they want to take care of the company. They're very protective of the company because the company is protective of them. There's a retail store where I live, and I'll leave the name out because you know who it is. And they used to have an amazing culture. And if I asked for a discount, like, hey guys, any discounts? Like, no, Simon, none. Well, he pays what everybody else pays, right? And I love a disgruntled employee because now I go in there and I get 50% off. I don't ask for it, by the way. I don't ask for it. I just walk in and they're like, what else do you want? You want a discount? I'm like, that's true. And it's because he's pissed off at the company. The company treats him like dirt. And so he has no desire to protect the company or its interests. And so every time I go, I get 50%, and again, I never ask. So that's my point, which is when the people feel taken care of, they'll want to protect the company and its interests. At the Four Seasons, they are stingier than the managers because they feel that somebody has taken care of them. And I tell this story, I can't remember if I wrote it in the book or not, but I tell this story. It's a true story. A few years ago, I went on a business trip to Vegas, and they put me up at the Four Seasons, which was very nice of them. Did I write about it? I'll tell it anyway. It's a good story. So I stayed at the Four Seasons, and they have a coffee bar in the Four Seasons, Las Vegas. And one afternoon, I went and bought a cup of coffee, and the kid working that day, the barista working that day, is a kid named Noah. And Noah was funny and charming and engaging and delightful. And I spent far too long buying a cup of coffee because I just enjoyed talking to Noah so much. And as is my nature, I asked Noah, do you like your job? And without skipping a beat, Noah says, I love my job. Now, in my line of work, that's significant. Like is rational. I like the people. I like the challenge. I get paid well. I like my job. Love is emotional. It's a higher order connection. Like, do you love your wife? I like her a lot. You know, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So Noah said to me, I love my job. So immediately my ears perk up. There's something special going on here. So I said to Noah, can you tell me specifically what the Four Seasons is doing that you would say to me that you love your job? And again, without skipping a beat, Noah said, throughout the day, managers will walk past me and check in on me, see how I'm doing, see if there's anything that they can do to help me. He said, not just my manager, any manager. And then he said, I also work at another hotel. And there the managers walk past us and catch us when we're doing things wrong. There, they're just trying to drive the numbers and drive performance. He says, there, I just keep my head down, get my job done, get through the end of the day, collect my paycheck, and go home. He said, only at the Four Seasons do I feel I can be myself. Now, this is the exact same human being, and our interaction with him, our customer service experience of this person will be profoundly different, not because of the person, because of the leadership environment in which he's working. His performance at these companies will be profoundly different, not because of the person, because of the leadership environment in which he works. And so when we have organizations or teams where there's just constant underperformance, and you go through employees, nobody ever looks at the leadership and saying, maybe it's them, you know? And it was such a treat to meet somebody like Noah, because I never get a case like this ever of two profoundly different performance, with the only variable being where he works and the people he works for. Do we catch people doing things right, or do we catch people doing things wrong? Do we reward the behavior we want, or do we yell at the behavior we don't want? Are we just trying to drive the short-term numbers and putting pressure on everybody in performance? Or are we trying to build them up as human beings so they can feel like they can be themselves when they come to work? The results are profoundly different, and it all boils down to leadership.